3, 2, 1. Somebody once started a podcast called Sardonicast, and I think it's pretty cool. Hey, everybody, this is Sardonicast. I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks.
This is a quick one. I'm Ralph from Untitled Chapter.
Yep.
And I'm Alex from IHE, and you really subverted us there.
Yeah.
I was hoping for the full thing, but...
I'm a real Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, you Johnsoned us.
Yeah, I often find... So there's still a few more that I haven't done, you know? There's different intros that I have lined up, but some of them require a bit more preparation. Some of them are really easy, and I can just whatever, fuck it. And last night I completely forgot we were doing the podcast in the morning until right before I was going to bed, and way too late. So there was no chance.
Do you need like a cast of like people to help you?
If you want to come up with more ideas for the intros for this and help me with that, I would not object. Because oftentimes I find I'm recording the podcast tomorrow, and then I have to just like scramble for something. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a thing that I have to do at points. Anyway, speaking of this podcast, last episode we had filmmaker, director, and actor Matt Johnson on the podcast, and we talked about F for Fake, the Orson Welles weird documentary essay thing. And it's very meta, and, you know, in the movie itself, there's some fakery, there's some trickery, right? And I realized it basically at the end of editing that episode. I realized how fucking awesome it would have been if we recorded that entire episode, and then at the end, I revealed that it wasn't actually Matt Johnson and like fucked with you and was like, yes, this is just somebody doing an impression, like an impersonation. Fuck, I should have done that. Sick, yeah. I should have done that. That would have been
just
so good.
At the end.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the episode's already out. But, man.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah, missed opportunity. It's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
So we got some movie news. There's going to be a Scarface remake. So another remake, because the 80s remake is already a remake. But there's a new remake coming.
Another one.
Ralph, I hear your first impressions just based
I didn't know this
on the
was
title alone.
Coming out.
But
who's directing it?
The same director as Suspiria remake and Call Me By Your Name, Luca Guadagnino. And apparently Coen brothers are working on the script. So, with all of that information in mind...
You just subverted it again, dude.
Yeah.
On paper, that sounds okay.
Sure.
But I've never seen the original Scarface. I've never bothered. Is it one worth checking out and going back to?
It's not sacred like Godfather is, like if they were remaking that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they should remake it.
Some people might disagree with you. I hear a lot of... when people say remake of Scarface, a lot of people are like, no, you can't. In my opinion, it's less of an idea of like whether or not something should or could be remade, but it's about who's doing it and what kind of goals they have. So with Suspiria, from the same director, we saw that he wasn't trying to do the exact same thing again and just modernize it. He was going for something completely different, which is great. If you want to do something completely different and it's good in its own way, I don't see any issue with that, especially if the one that people love is already a remake anyway. So, I don't know. My impressions, I'm not really opposed to it.
Yeah, I think the director and the Coens being involved too is like a big... It is all about just who's involved and like what the origin of the creative idea was. Like, was this a studio thing? Like they just, it's time to remake Scarface. Who are we going to get to do this type of, or was it the director actually chasing the project? I'm not really sure the origin there, but that does make a huge difference, you know, compared to like, boy or whatever.
I'm curious who they're going to cast. It's Tony Montana, especially.
Yeah.
If they're going to top Al Pacino. Because that role is so iconic for him. I don't know. I don't think you could top that, but they'll try.
Yeah, that would be a big issue. But we don't know what they're going for, really.
Yeah,
it could be.
It's true.
It could be like under the skin take or something. Like it could just be really weird.
A bit weirder.
Yeah, something that's like completely subversive.
It is disappointing to me when, like, why would you choose to put yourself in that situation, you know? If you got, like, two choices and it's one, make a movie about something new, or you know what, even remake something that people don't care about anymore. I feel like the Suspiria one was quite good, is because it's not as ubiquitous as Scarface, so
it's got a cult following
for creative. It definitely has a cult following, but it's not. You can't like go up to anyone on the street and be like, "What do you think of the original Suspiria?" And like, you know,
it's very of its time. It's very 1970s. It's like clearly a giallo. Like you can't enjoy it as anything else. Scarface still holds up. Like it's still really good. You can just watch it as a great movie. It's not even that old. I don't even think they need to remake it at this point, because it just hasn't even been that long.
It's been longer than any of the Spider-Man reboots. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and Batman,
or Batman,
all that. It's like 5 years,
or a wide variety of things, especially considering foreign films being remade into American films.
Total Recall, was that the 80s or was that the 90s?
One of them.
The remake was not soon after.
Yeah.
I don't remember the remake though. I've seen it. I don't remember it.
I don't remember a single thing about it either.
I don't know. Maybe the 80s is like 40 years away. It's a bit of time. We don't know what their intentions are, but I do find it interesting that he's making it. So hopefully he does a good job.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
These reports, some of them are pretty speculative. Like they're saying that reports suggested that Training Day director had at one point been set to direct, and then after they left the project, a script by Coen Brothers was about to be filmed with Diego Luna in the lead role. I don't know who that is. So I don't know, like, Guadagnino just jumped in or how any of this is going, but I like the director a lot, even if not every single one of their movies clicked with me, but like there's at least 3 from this director that I really love, and they're all pretty much exclusively his most recent ones, so somebody who I'll be checking out his films regardless.
What do you think the chances are of it falling apart, perhaps? Because it's not like it's not an impossibility, you know.
Certainly
like Edgar
not.
Wright tried to make a Marvel movie and that fell apart. These creatives, you know, working in these established universes, I guess it depends on the creative freedom. We just don't really know enough at this point.
They don't have a lead to play Scarface yet. Diego Luna would not sell the movie. Like, I don't think he would top Al Pacino. That's the guy from Star Wars Rogue One. He plays Cassian.
I still haven't seen that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's that guy.
Whatever. We'll see
that's
how
the
it
new
goes.
Scarface. Like, no.
Not quite Al Pacino, but...
No, not quite.
All right. Yeah, I guess not much more to say about that, other than it's
yeah,
weird that it's happening, and I'll be
super weird.
Cautiously optimistic. There was a new film that got released recently that I guess I'm the only one out of the 3 of us that saw it. It's the 5 hour and 40-minute long Neil Breen retrospective documentary that he says is not a documentary, but it is, I guess.
It's like a masterclass, right? He sits down and tells you filmmaking knowledge.
Yeah.
He's learned.
We learn from the master, basically. Yeah. And it was I mean, it's a must-see for any Breen fan. Anyone who can tolerate who he is and what he does, which I love his films.
The price tag kept me away from it.
Right?
Yeah.
How much is it?
It's over $160.
Yeah. And then converted to Canadian, it's like $200.
Yeah. USD. I mean, yeah.
What information is in it? What do you learn from this colossal Lord of the Rings length experience?
Well, we learn a lot about him in like a character sort of way. It's kind of like a weird, unintentional character study, like any one of his films, I guess. You could say that. It's so bizarre because like he constantly says, even within this documentary and within interviews he's given before, he constantly says, like, I'm not revealing anything about what anything means ever. And even in this documentary, he says that. And then at other points where he's like, it kind of seeps through in unintentional ways. So he'll be talking about a scene or like a prop, and he's like, here's the character Dylan with the book of life while he's inside the black cube. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know it. Like, that's what was happening in the scene. I thought he was in a garbage room or something. And it's like, you learn about the movie accidentally. And he talks about the symbolism of the baby heads, like, pretty directly in the desert from I Am Here Now. I forget what he said, but I have it timestamped. I'll probably be making a quickie of this thing, so I'll include that clip. But I find it funny because he's constantly saying, I will never talk about it, and then he kind of does by accident, in a way. The 5-hour, 40-minute runtime is not justified in the slightest. It is like, it's so funny, but also exhausting. Like, you have to be willing to suffer a bit for the experience.
What's like the format? Like, is it showing behind the scenes stuff, or is he just like breaking it down scene by scene?
It's him in his home. There are 2 locations where he films himself basically talking to the camera. One's on his couch, and one's in his editing bay. And then occasionally, if he forgets to say something, he'll freeze frame and then voice over in post, and it sounds very different. And it's
right.
One of the lines that he freeze framed and talked over was him saying, like, it's very important to have movement in the shot. And he goes on for like 2 minutes talking about movement while the frame is literally frozen. It's beautiful. It's really funny. And so there's that. And that makes up like the bulk of him talking in his voiceover. But then he shows clip shows of his films for each section. And so some of these sections would be like lighting, production value and budget, character images, writing. One of the sections was exclusively just romance, which I found pretty amusing. And for each of these sections, he'll talk about them on his couch or from his editing bay, edited together. And then we get the clip show. And every time he does the clip show, over this 5-hour, 40-minute long documentary, I guess, he just keeps repeating himself, and he shows the exact same shots over and over again, to the point where it's like he's talking about set design or whatever, and then we get a big green screen shot, and he's like, yeah, this is a set I designed for the newsroom. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, are you talking about the desk? Because that's the only thing that's real in this frame. And then he says, like, oh, I'll talk more about this in the special effects category. So, well, why is it here? Quite literally, like 4 different times for some of these shots, where he says pretty much the exact same thing. But yeah, we learn a bit about his lighting is what I probably learned the most about. He's got like this one, I guess it's called a light diffuser that he like cut a slit in. And then once you see that it's there in this documentary and you start looking through the shots again, it's like, holy shit, he uses that all the time. There's this like slit of light in like every single one of his movies for like 20 shots. So
it's the same trick.
Yeah. He's a character. And like, it's just it's so confusing. But at the same time, it's really wholesome because he shows clips from like some of his screenings. He's like, this is when I went in Paris, there were 2,700 people at this screening, and it just shows them all cheering. And he's like talking about how fulfilling of a feeling it is to have everybody like excited and enjoying his movie. And he's like, man, I don't read the real critics. I just, if somebody goes on Twitter and says they love it, that's just the most important thing. It's like, damn. There was this I guess concern coming from people. I remember when we had Critical on, and Critical was talking about how he knew about Neil Breen, and he was kind of like somewhat, not super seriously, but somewhat upset, like, oh man, you shouldn't have shared him to the world. Watching stuff like this, where he's like not only able to get more of a budget and successfully sell his films because of this large audience, but also he seems to love that other people love his movies who knows how aware he is of how ironically people are enjoying them, but still, I mean, I only see positives at this point. So, not upset about it.
So how long do you think this project took him to make, by your estimation?
I mean, it wasn't
6-hour long project.
But
you're not gonna just shit that out, are you?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not like a meticulously made thing. Like if there was more thought and effort put into it, it wouldn't be that long. It would be trimmed down. I'm not even sure that he's watched over it, because if he like took this 5-hour, 40-minute long thing and just like watched through it once in the editing room, he would have cut out half the movie where he just repeated himself like over that.
Yep.
You know? So I'm not sure he spent a very long time making this at all. And what's really weird about it, like, it's supposed to be this masterclass, but the questions that you want to know the answers to the most, he doesn't really say. So in the production values category, he'll be like, yeah, it's really important to use this environment to add production value, but he doesn't really go into what that means in terms of like what makes it appear higher production value. Because like to the average person watching it doesn't. It looks like a kind of cheaply made movie. Like you can tell there's a bit of a budget there.
Yeah.
You can tell there's like a soul and passion there, but he'll like be like, yeah, this is a shot where we were at this location. It's like, well, how did you find the location? Did you build these structures? Did you happen to, like you have these questions. If you were genuinely interested in learning from Neil Breen about making movies, sadly, I don't think that you would get that much out of it. However, if you're interested in watching it for just, the insanity that is him and what he produces and his character, then you'll get something out of it, but you have to be patient. It's a real Gene Dillman type of joint.
Well, what's that other 6-hour movie we keep referencing? Christ, what is it called?
Satan Tango?
Or something.
Or something.
No, you always bring it up. What is it called? And it's got that weird poster.
Is it
it's like 6-7 hours long. Yeah, it's like a really underground art film.
6 or 7 hours long?
Maybe even longer
than that. Yeah.
And we've mentioned it frequently?
Adam, you're the one that brought it up. Yeah, the Cremaster cycle?
Cremaster cycle.
Is that it?
Yeah, those are several different movies, one like ranging from like half an hour to like 5 hours or something.
Okay.
Yeah, those are torture.
So do you think there's room for some kind of like supercut of the 6 hours of Breen that's kind of getting the best bits, or what? Because like you're not really selling me on the 6 hour experience.
I mean, if you're a Breen fan, you should add it to your collection before he just randomly decides to stop selling it on his website. Man.
Right.
Yeah, like he talks about marketing too. Marketing and sales. Like I love you, Neil. You built your brand. People love you. But you can't just remove 2 of your films from your website, not sell them anywhere else. From what I can tell, he doesn't sell any of them on digital. He doesn't have any kind of like Blu-ray thing going on. He manages his own distribution, and that kind of limits him in a way. He could be making so much more money if he was doing it properly. And ironically enough, 2 of the 2 films, Double Down and I Am Here Now, that he just refuses to sell anymore for no reason, those films are featured in this retrospective. So you're kind of getting weird. Mixed signals. So it seems like, this shot, blah, 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 if you're interested in this shot, and some of the things you can tell, like, this really worked well. He's like proud of it in a way, or at least parts of it, the parts that he shows. But then it's like, okay, you're not selling them. People want to watch them.
He's an artist, man. He just does whatever he wants.
Yeah, I guess so.
Even in the trailer for it, he was saying, like, you're going to learn about online distribution, Blu-ray distribution. But his movies aren't on Blu-ray. They all come in, like, jewel cases. There's no, like, they're not on Amazon. They're so hard to find, actually. So he doesn't know much about that stuff.
It's a part of the experience to order a film from him and hope that it works.
And then it
properly.
comes in like just a disc in like a little case.
Yeah, this one was 2 discs.
Is it like written in marker on the front?
It's like it's really basic print with just text. He used to autograph them back before I did my Fateful Findings review. Those ones, those 3 I have are autographed. He just did that. Maybe if you like asked him in the notes when you order, like he would do that. But you don't really learn a whole lot for 5 hours and 40 minutes. And I shit you not, I'm not even kidding. One of these clip shows with not even any voiceover, literally just clips from his films, I think in the character images section, goes on for almost an hour. Not even kidding. Very least 45 minutes. I think it was about 55 minutes. But it's still watchable for me because it's just clips from his movies, and I think they're amazing and hilarious. And it's also a weird kind of character study in of itself in terms of which clips he shows. Because some of them in this clip show are kind of like indistinguishable from someone making like a funny moments clip show on YouTube, right? But he puts them in this retrospective of things that he's like genuinely proud of. And that's good for him. And I wouldn't want it any other way because he will be unfazed and continue to make masterpieces. But man, it's just so bizarre.
Did you watch it in one burst, or were you just like multitasking?
I watched it in 2 days.
Okay.
I would have watched it all in one day, but it was late. It was like 1 a.m. at the end of disc 1. And so I was like, nah, maybe I'll save this for tomorrow. So yeah, worth watching. Much of it feels like an old relative showing like vacation photos, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good way.
That summarizes it pretty well. Yeah.
It's like your uncle. Your uncle
yeah,
makes
exactly.
movies.
Your estranged uncle.
Yeah.
You just film some in his house and like around town.
There's parts of the movie when like he's doing the voiceover and it seems like he's trying to trick people to make it seem as though things are happening that aren't. Like he says like, that tiger is not CG, it's not green screen. And all I'm thinking is like, that looks pretty fucking green screen to me, Neil. Like
it looks fake as shit.
I mean, it's not CG clearly, but you can't say it's not green screen, Neil. Mm-hmm. You can't say that you put a tiger on a cliff and just had it lie there while you were like right underneath it. You can't say you did that. It doesn't look convincing. It really doesn't.
Do you think he knows he's fibbing, or he's just...
I don't...
Neil Breen.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a different definition of green screen.
He's like being vague in his phrasing. So he could be like, oh, well, I wasn't lying. It is a real lion or tiger.
It's a real tiger,
it is. It's just composited in there.
Yeah.
That's the fake part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd recommend it for the Neil Breen fans.
That was convincing.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I can't for that price.
Yeah.
It's
the price and the length.
Yeah, if it was a lower price.
Like, I would rather just buy all of his films.
Yeah. And guaranteed,
that are available.
This retrospective had significantly the least budget out of anything he's ever made. Because he's just showing clips from his old movies and talking in front of a camera, and that's it. That's literally it. And yet there's 150, I mean, 200 in Canadian even, dollar price point. And yeah, it's 5 hours, but it's like he's trying to combine the value of all of his previous films, even though he's not really, like, you don't get the full experience of all the previous films.
Yeah. But from how it sounds, it's like 6 hours long because he wants it to be long, not because it needed to be. Like, everything he said is just like, it could be said in an hour.
It really could.
Which is
great. He repeats himself so much to the point where it's just comical. And you can literally, like, interrupt him before he finishes his sentence because you know what he's going to say because he said it already. It's like literally exact same shot, but different voiceover. So he said the same thing twice. It's like he had a pre-made clip show / slideshow of different footage and photos, and he just like dumped them all together and did a single take talking over them and just like didn't bother to cut any of it out several times throughout the movie for like each section that he goes into, basically.
Damn.
It was pretty cool.
I think there's a news story about AMC.
Oh, really?
They're going to go bankrupt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, that was coming.
There's that. I don't know too much about that, but yeah, that was coming. And it's worrying. They have enough money for like the rest of the year.
I heard that they were on the verge of bankruptcy before COVID. I mean, this probably didn't help. but yeah, I don't know.
So what is AMC for those outside of like America?
They are a theater chain in America. Like
in the US specifically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think any of them are in Canada. The quality of their
theaters is mixed, but they have nice theaters, some of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a channel as well?
I'm assuming they're owned by the same parent company, the TV channel, right?
Are they?
Are they completely different?
I think they just have the same name.
Really?
I'm not too sure.
It's like AMC Theaters and then AMC You'd think that they'd have some sort of relation, right?
Right.
Should we look this up?
I don't know.
Is it relevant?
I mean, sure, look it up. I don't know what you'd look up.
Okay. Is AMC Theaters the same company as TV? They're two completely different corporations despite their identical acronym. Okay.
Yeah.
American Movie Classics is the cable television channel, and then American Multi-Cinema.
Yeah, there you go.
Really?
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
That's bizarre.
$2 billion apparently they've estimated to have lost in this first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
$2 billion.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a lot of money.
I feel like some gigantic corporations just don't know how to manage their money properly, and they're always like either spending too much into their businesses or spending too much into their CEO pay, that like every year they're just like barely making it by. They're like, sorry, we can't raise the minimum wage. Sorry. And then, you know, rainy day comes, disaster hits, and suddenly all these gigantic corporations are either like belly up or they need a bailout. And it's like, well, what the fuck? You're supposed to be making the big bucks. Apparently a lot of them just don't plan for this kind of thing. They don't have any money set aside for any reason to help their company stay afloat. Yeah.
It has to be more and more and more. And when you have something that makes it so you can't be making more for a little bit, it kind of throws a wrench in the works.
They're technically legally bound to increase profits for their shareholders.
Yeah, exactly.
Oopsie.
But what does this actually mean, though? Like, surely they're going to need places to show movies, you know? Like, where's Disney going to put their movies if they don't have AMC theaters to?
Disney Plus.
Well, Disney could open their own theater chain and have their own movies
so weird.
Which does worry me. But that is like, I think that's like worst case scenario.
That's almost Orwellian right there. God.
Yeah, because then they control what's in cinema.
Yeah, they could easily just buy out AMC, couldn't they?
Yeah, I was thinking, that's exactly what I was about to say. What if they just bought it and owned it? Their own little platform. Yeah.
There are other theater chains. There's Regal Cinema, which is like Tom Cruise is like the head of that.
I had no idea.
I don't know, Bowtie. You know, there's like little ones throughout states. But AMC was a huge one.
It's the biggest one in America.
Yeah.
A shit ton of AMC theaters.
That could be it. A big studio can buy it.
Yeah, my main concern is always going to be with film festivals, because they rent these things out, like just for a specific point in the year. They don't use them all year round. And as we mentioned in the previous episode, like at Toronto Film Festival, like one of the biggest theaters that they had for the festival is just like turned into condos now, which is just so depressing. There's like no good reason for it. Like they didn't go out of business. Like they were doing fine, but I guess the property was just worth so much in that area.
Yeah. I feel like in 10 years' time, we're going to look back and be like, whoa, things have changed quite a lot since the Corona, all this. Like,
the movie theater will be the new rotary phone. All the new generations, you'll be like, this is what this was. Or like a Blockbuster.
Yeah, you'll get a notification on your phone, like the new Marvel movie's out, the new Avengers movie. Netflix on your phone or whatever, or Disney Plus, and just watch it on your phone.
Maybe it'll just like, you can upload it to the chip in your arm that Bill Gates puts in. And then it'll just like control your brain. You'll feel what the movie was like, but it'll be like an instant upload, so you won't actually have to watch it. And it'll be really time efficient. I'll just go like beep, 6 out of 10.
Oh, they could upload like the emotions. They could upload the nostalgia. It's like a hit. They like periodically they just dose you with a bit of nostalgia.
Oh my god.
Anything could happen.
It's super interesting at the very least. Like, I can't wait to see the other side of all this. Like, just what's going to happen to this industry.
Everything's just
Adam,
fucking
you said the
falling
theaters
apart.
could get nicer now because it's a little more competitive.
I think
and
they should.
The thing with AMC is the theaters weren't too good quality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were quantity over quality.
The standard, the standards kind of went down because there were so many.
There's a shit ton.
So now it would be nice to have just less theaters, but they're nicer because it's somewhere you actually go for fun. You don't want to have a bad time when you go. And I've had bad experiences there before because it's too crowded or fucking things are sold out.
Well, the floor's sticky. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's like a chain like that, no one gives a shit.
Yeah, really. Mm-hmm. If every theater tried to adopt their business model more closely to Alamo Drafthouse, I would not complain. Because they try to do that with a chain in Canada called Cineplex. They have the VIP theaters. Basically, you pay a little extra, you get nicer seats, you get dining, service. Their food's shit, but you can order drinks, and even though their pre-made drinks are like sugary garbage, if you know what you want and you see the bottles behind the counter, you're like, can you make this? They have real bartenders. So that's a nice experience. Less people in the theater too. Still nothing close to what Alamo Drafthouse is doing. Like, that's probably the best theater experience in my opinion.
People want to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
After this coronavirus thing, people are going to go back there. They're not afraid.
Yeah.
It's so good. Maybe the food thing now, people might be worried about that. They might not want food, but
maybe.
What about,
just because
like,
in that
popcorn?
environment, you're so close to other people.
I guess so.
Yeah. Like you're putting your fingers all over everything.
Yeah, fucking eating like a chicken wing like next to someone you don't know. I'd be like, I don't want
to.
Yeah, I guess like if they space out the seating in the same way, like restaurants are reopening in many different places, and in Canada too, where they basically just have like empty seats between each seat, or empty tables between each table. Who knows exactly how effective that is, but it seems to be more effective than nothing to mitigate things to some degree. You could probably do a theater in the same way. I just don't think I don't think Tenet's going to be released this year. You know?
I thought Nolan was like insisting that it was going to come out.
They say that it needs to be a certain amount of theaters need to be showing it for it to be justified, and I don't know if that's going to be the case or how theaters are going to operate, and if every theater showing it is at like half capacity also. Or less, even. Like, will they justify doing it? I don't know. Apparently, drive-in movies are making a comeback, too. Unfortunately, there's not that many here. There's, like... there was one that I was looking at, and I was like, oh, maybe I could go there. And then I looked at what movies they were playing, I'm like, oh, shit, this is just stuff I could get digitally right now. Because nothing's in theaters. It wouldn't be a bad idea to do a drive-in. Seems like the safest option at the moment.
Yeah, true. I didn't even thought about that because they seem so rare now.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of them. Depending on where you are, you could probably find a drive-in. Yeah, I would like to see Tenet, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, so would I, but... Yeah, well, when's it supposed to be coming out? Like middle of July or something? In the UK, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. And surely, even if they just forced it out there and it didn't perform, like surely that would just screw everyone over.
Yeah,
it's bad because it's a lot of money too. That film.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it was an expensive ass movie to make. Yeah.
I don't know. They could probably monetize it in some way.
Yeah, but that really devalues the movie a lot. Like once it comes out, that first weekend is when you make most of the money.
Just release it on digital.
No,
it
devalues it so much.
I know.
They can't do that, and they're not going to do that. Especially Christopher Nolan. He's a big hardcore cinema guy. You got to see it in the cinema. You got to see it on film. They're not going to allow fucking just dumping it on VOD.
I know, but I feel like it could be record breaking if it did, because it would be the biggest news story.
That's not enough to even make its money back, though.
Really?
Like that Trolls 2, it made $200 million. That's not even the budget of this movie.
I know, but if they charge like $30 per rental or something, And you'd have to imagine that more people would probably get it compared to Trolls 2, I think. Maybe?
More people would get it, but I don't know if they'd be paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, like, families were watching that. There's just, if you're charging someone $20 each person to go into the theater, plus popcorn and all that, you're going to make so much more money than just on VOD.
Yeah.
This Trolls movie, I think, is a special case because everyone was home.
Yeah.
And also $20, yeah.
And if you're a mom, you don't have time to learn how to torrent something, so.
I just think it has to be released in a theater. Even if it's later, it has to be released in a theater.
Yeah, I think it's more likely it'll be delayed than just put out on VOD. It's just the wrong project for it. Trolls is like fine because I don't give a shit about Trolls.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
A family film, it's animated. Okay, it's not like some passion project. It's not an auteur's like vision.
Yeah.
Like this is
the Saw Spiral Twitter account. Somebody was tweeting at them being like, hey, can you just please release it on digital? They're like, you have to see this in the theaters, trust us. Saw Spiral. Like, okay.
In 3D.
It's not 3D.
Probably will be.
No. I mean, they didn't film it in 3D, so I hope not. But yeah, there's some that feel like relatively unjustified. Fuck, man, they accidentally released the new Eric Andre movie on Amazon.
Accidentally?
For like a short amount of time, and then I reviewed it, and then I realized that they like took it down from Amazon and no one could watch it. And then Netflix bought it, and we don't know when that's coming out. But fuck, I feel bad for Eric Andre, because that movie could have been a hit. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Bad trip.
I always wonder how that happens when like entire movies just like leak. I remember, like, I think it was on like the Sony YouTube channel. They like uploaded an entire movie early or something by complete accident when it was supposed to be a trailer.
I could imagine how they could do that.
Every now and again it happens. I remember that happening. It might not have been Sony, but that definitely happened.
Because these companies have entire libraries of their films uploaded to YouTube so that they can be purchased through YouTube's movie thing, and also so that they can be added to the Content ID library to take down and monetize other movies. So it's in a library somewhere on these film studios' accounts. So it's not like out of the question that some random content manager who's paid not as much as they should be just accidentally publishes the wrong thing.
Public, yeah.
As for Eric Andre and Bad Trip, I have no idea why Amazon accidentally released the movie for a day.
Like on Amazon Prime it came out?
Yeah.
Huh.
It was really weird.
So like you upload the file and then you gotta publish it. So they might have just published it by accident.
It might have been a thing where like... Yeah, see, I have no idea still, because part of me is thinking like, oh yeah, so the coronavirus delayed the movie, and then it was supposed to come out on digital after, and that was the date, and they just didn't change it. But it was so close to the date of the movie that it was like within a month. So why would that be the case? You would think it would still be in theaters before. Yeah. Yeah, I watched it like last month. It was really funny, though. I really liked it.
I didn't even know it was out.
Exactly.
I have to watch it.
Me neither.
Yeah, somebody like posted on my subreddit being like, oh, it's out now. I'm like, oh, shit. And then it wasn't after I watched it. All right. I guess it's time to talk about the movie recommendation.
About the Sexy Beast.
Yeah. Spoilers, by the way. Take it away.
Well, this was my pick. Sexy Beast from the year 2000 from the director Jonathan Glazer. So you say it, Glazer?
I don't know how it's supposed to be said.
It's a unique name for sure, but people probably most know him on Sardonicast, at least, from us bringing up Under the Skin a fair amount.
Glazer.
But you might also know him from his pretty famous music videos, is where he got his start, I believe.
Fuck yeah.
Working with Blur, Radiohead, some real like bangers in there. Really good music videos. Yeah, so it's his first picture, and I was super curious to see how it would compare to Under the Skin, because I don't know if it could be any more different, to be honest, in terms of the tone, the presentation of, well, not the presentation necessarily, but the genre. It's more of a crime drama kind of thriller type thing, about a retired safecracker who is brought into one last job by a particularly intense Ben Kingsley, who plays the character of Don Logan, who makes the movie, I think. And yeah, it might be a familiar story to some because apparently it was a huge inspiration on the story of GTA 5, which I could see actually with a lot of comparisons. But the most interesting thing about it to me is this angle of it being kind of framed as a heist movie, but the heist isn't really that important at the end of the day. It's more about just this conflict of someone who's retired kind of being forced into the fact, just with these insane personalities just pushing on each other and clashing.
Yeah,
it's nice and brief
back
too.
Into the game. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really liked it. I don't know about you guys. I know Ralph did as well. How do you feel about it?
I loved it.
Yeah,
it's Jonathan Glazer.
Yeah, I did really. I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting. This is a movie where as far back as I can remember, in this ancient thing called a video store, I would go past the cover for this and be really reluctant to ever check it out just because of the title. And I was like, well, what the fuck is this about a rapist? It's like, what is this movie? And I was just like not interested in checking it out. And then after, Under the Skin, I was like, oh, Jonathan Glazer. I'd always been like somewhat interested in the back of my mind, even with Birth, which I still haven't seen. Just looking at the cover for that, I'm like, oh, this looks like it could be like kind of interesting. And now I'm just like, holy shit, I'm actually, I could watch Birth pretty soon at this point because that's the only one of his features that I haven't seen yet, and I've really enjoyed the other two.
I enjoyed this one a lot. Maybe more. Like, just like Under the Skin, it's not just a heist movie. It's just something totally its own thing. Ben Kingsley comes in, he hijacks the movie, and then it becomes a totally different movie.
He steals
and
the
then
show.
he goes away, and it becomes a totally different movie. And it's a really great heist movie. It's a really great character study. And yeah, it's fucking... The soundtrack is great.
Oh, yeah.
I love the opening, too. The dream elements were really interesting.
Frank the Bunny.
The opening is like really funny and goofy, which is like the rest of the movie doesn't. I guess there's like funnier, lighter parts, but the light opening was perfect, and it set like the guy's life up and how like he's just like a bum suntanning all day, and he's fat, and he's like he has like a great life. You can tell he wants to do nothing else but that.
You can tell he's checked out. He's fucking done.
And then, this guy comes in and fucks up his life.
It's definitely a dark comedy.
Yeah, 100%.
There's so much humor in there, so much great Cockney kind of British humor, especially with just the use of language. Like there's that point where Ben Kingsley he tries to say insinuate or innuendo, and he combines the two words and says insinuendos. I mean this in the best way possible. He's like a man-child. He's like this really terrifying, stunted psycho. And you see flashes of like this kind of destructive behavior that you might recognize in real life, just amplified to this crazy degree, which supposedly was driven by this headcanon that Ben Kingsley had, where he made up this backstory where the character may have been sexually assaulted or something when he was younger. Which is where he kind of drove the character. Yeah. And you can kind of see that in a lot of scenes, like especially that really fucked up moment where he's in the plane and he just lights up that cigarette and then gets kicked out. And he knows he can get away with it because he just whips out this script when he's in the when he's being interviewed and manages to get out of it. And there's a lot of like really clever stuff like that. A lot of like implied history between a lot of these characters, which is really effective. Even to the point where I think they're making a TV show, like a prequel to this in the upcoming years. I saw, unfortunately, I don't think Glazer's involved, but the point is a rife enough kind of universe and setting to warrant that kind of, intrigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really tell just how insecure this character is. Just like one of the most immature, insane, crazy people, where he's literally throwing tantrums and like headbutting the air in front of the main character, won't accept no for an answer. And it's like, I really didn't expect that sequence to go on that long, in terms of like, you know, they set it up as this like, okay, retired criminal, all of a sudden this guy comes back up and he's like, you got to do this one last job for me. And the main character is like, but I can't offend him, you know, and obviously the guy's got connections, like he might not want to put his life at risk. He's being put in this incredibly awkward and shitty situation. And everything that I've ever watched in every other movie that had this kind of premise and setup, basically it would wind up going like, okay, well, he's going to take the job and then conflict is going to happen, and you know, the audience and the character are going to be thinking, man, he shouldn't have taken that job. Whereas this film, it's the exact opposite. It's literally like, well, if you just took the job, then nothing would have went wrong, really. Like,
yeah, true.
It would have been fine. It was the fact that you protested against it that actually caused the conflict in the film, which is an interesting subversion.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tagline of yes or yes is quite funny. Just meaning he's got no choice in the matter, and it ultimately leads to, well, it doesn't even lead to his demise. It leads to Ben Kingsley's demise. But
yeah. Well, his demise too, because once he's gone from the film, he's just replaced with another villain played by the guy from John Wick, and that guy is like the Grim Reaper almost, super intimidating. He was
even more terrifying in a way.
And it's like this. It's almost like he'll never escape it, you know. And that's kind of what the bunny is in his dreams. Like it's this constant weight on his life. Like this thing he's done, it'll never go away. And I think that's more of like the core of what the movie means, and I think anyone can relate to that, which is why it's a good story. What do we think of the guy, the other villain?
I mean, yeah, he served his purpose for sure. It was
Teddy Bass.
Yeah, more subtly intimidating, less comical for sure.
Yeah. No, it was a nice contrast to Don Logan, who is so unpredictable. Whereas
he's just an asshole,
character,
and obnoxious.
Yeah, he's like a more kind of typical like boss type of figure that you just don't mess with.
It's so quotable. Like I mean, you've already said that Ben Kingsley steals the show. Like I think pretty much anybody watching this movie, it's like that's the best part. The rest of the movie is still great too. But Ben Kingsley really makes the movie, and I've got a couple lines written down. I'm just going to have to turn this opportunity down. No, you're just going to have to turn this opportunity yes. It's so funny.
That's a great line.
It's so funny. And when he reacts to like when Dee Dee comes back with that snarky comment, she's like, "What? We're surprised that you were 17," and he just gives that glare, just that like, "This isn't funny," and like just stares at her. Oh, it's so funny. I love it so much.
But it's also intimidating. Like, it gets to a point where he's just, like, really mean, and, like you want him to shut up.
You can see why they killed
himself in the mirror.
Like, he couldn't make it to the movie, even, because he's so fucking obnoxious. Yeah. But, like, he has to die halfway through. When he was pissing on their carpet, like, you didn't even need to do that at all.
Yeah.
He's a fucking jerk-off. That's probably, like, the worst. That's one of the moments that sticks in my mind. It's, like, one of the worst things he did. Him just pissing on their carpet.
Yeah,
it's just unnecessary.
He really is a child, and you have to wonder how he got into the situation that he is. Maybe just because he does kind of.
He's kind of the perfect person for it, to be honest.
Yeah, he's intimidating and he's persistent. So
pretty sociopathic,
and he can just manipulate anyone through fear.
No. Yes.
I like the other two friend characters too. It's like this other couple that they know.
Oh, yeah.
The way they introduced Don Logan was so interesting. It wasn't like some conventional, like, he calls the main character. He calls this woman that he knows, and, like, we find out through her and her husband, like, the whole plot, and that Don Logan's coming. That was, like, a great scene, that dinner scene. And then, like, the husband character was, like, very friendly and, like, funny almost. And it was perfect, like him contrasting with Don Logan, who was just a fucking jerk off. Told him to fuck off.
He was kind of cowardly too.
Kind of
in the scene where he's getting destroyed with the gun at the end, he's kind of cowering in the background.
But then he's the one who takes like the final blow, I guess. Gives him the final blow.
Did you guys watch this with subtitles or no?
The second time
I really wanted to, but on the version I had, there was no option, so that was pretty disappointing.
There were subtitles on iTunes, But what I found very hilarious was that one of the subtitles at one point literally just said "indistinguishable" from in the middle of a sentence from one of the characters. Yeah. When his friend shows up near the beginning of the movie, his friend is introduced and he's talking about like the boulder and listing all these colors like aquamarine and stuff, and then he says the line, "Check it out, you can have a look at the indistinguishable." And that was just on the iTunes subtitles, which, I mean, it only happened once, but I just found that kind of amusing.
Yeah, some very thick accents in the movie. If you're not used to Cockney, I could understand the confusion.
Yeah. That's why I put the subtitles on.
Yeah. Subtitles help, especially for
the thing with the boulder was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I love the way it was shot too.
The body in there. Yeah, you don't see it coming at all, like that ending. The way the whole film was told, like the editing was great. The way they like play with time once Ben Kingsley's character leaves the movie, you don't quite know what happened to him, and it's slowly revealed as the heist is going on. Like there's so much brilliant stuff going on, and you can't quite keep up with the movie, which is why it's so like unpredictable, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's a really good pace.
Yeah, and really good tension building.
Despite how long the sequence is, where it's literally just him arguing about whether or not he's going to do the job, it is really well paced. I mean, that's like the most entertaining part of the movie, even though it's like kind of the most stagnant in terms of like the plot driving forward. I was legitimately thinking like, man, what if the rest of the movie is just him arguing with Ben Kingsley? I wouldn't even
goes
be
on for
upset.
so long.
And you're hoping for it too, because it's so entertaining.
Yeah, it's really funny. It has that dark, sick sense of humor to it. You really enjoy it.
And I love how it's just like any other movie, even if he wound up eventually doing the job or not doing it, any other movie, that would be a conversation over one setting. It would be over like one dinner table thing, maybe brought back up later. But as this movie is going, it's like, holy shit, it's nighttime. And then he goes on a plane and he comes back and it's still going. He's like still arguing. Like, it's over such a long period of time for this character. But I mean, it works out really well because it completely justifies how abusive he is and why they needed to like kill him. Literally, it's just like, holy shit! Like he was never going to leave
so badly.
Yeah, he literally would not take no for an answer. So it's like, well, what do you want? Like, why even ask the question? It's crazy. Lots of fun.
What do you think of the meaning of the boulder then?
I didn't really think too hard about it, but I don't know, from first impression, you could probably interpret it as, you know, just this unstoppable force.
Foreshadowing of,
showing up into his life and really rustling things up and and fucking with him. And it lands
also
on
lands
like the
like right in the middle of the hearts. Yeah.
It's just served a good purpose in the plot, so I didn't even think about it like that.
The only reason it was standing out in my mind so much was because for the first, 15 minutes of the movie, I kept noticing these, they must have been references to The Big Lebowski. They must have been. With the like perspective shot of the boulder rolling, exactly like the ball in The Big Lebowski. There was the same music even from The Big Lebowski, and there was one other thing too, the kind of like floating scene, the dream sequence, which I thought was interesting actually, because a lot of the time when a dream sequence is established, it's kind of kept a secret until the inevitable like wake up in bed shocked type thing, but they actually went out their way to show that he was dreaming, which I thought was an interesting take on a dream sequence.
The Big Lebowski was 2 years before this movie was released, so who knows?
Yeah, and my other reasoning for why I think it might be directly inspired is because of that Blur music video that he did, where he's like shamelessly just using imagery from Clockwork Orange. So he clearly like knows what he likes, and it's definitely a good way. If it is your first feature, like if you see something done a certain way, like that perspective shot of the bowling ball rolling, like why would you not want to try to apply that to your own story? I think it works really well. It doesn't bother me or anything. I think it's actually really good, and really the visual side of it I thought was really interesting actually. Like there's that really interesting shot where Ben Kingsley's just going in on the main character, but he's blocked by the right side of the screen. I couldn't tell what it was, if it was like a pillar or like a wall, but the way it was blocked, where he kept kind of leaving the frame and popping back in, was like just such an interesting and fresh way to display like a conflict like that. And then he like smashes into the kitchen cabinet and stuff. It's all very kind of natural.
There were quite a few concepts filming wise that I really enjoyed in this movie. There was that kind of I guess non-literal sequence with him and his wife, and they were like floating and their hair was all wavy and stuff, and you could tell that they just filmed that underwater. And I think conceptually that's a really cool way to achieve that effect, even though you can tell that's how it was done. But at the same time, so much of this movie is also underwater anyway, so even if you can tell that part of the movie is underwater, you can also kind of be like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't really matter if you can tell that that's what they did, because it kind of plays into the rest of the movie in ways.
Yeah.
I also really loved conceptually the idea of like this underwater heist at the same time, where it like fills them in the room, and you know, it was a really good opportunity for the sound design and the presentation, and I think that sequence worked really, really well too. It's pretty crazy. You can tell he has ideas. You can tell he was thinking like, yeah, I would love to do like an underwater heist sort of thing, and then it just worked out.
And it avoids being gimmicky, despite all these tropey settings like these heist movies or these, you know, exaggerated gangstery kind of characters. It does avoid that kind of pitfall, which is really interesting.
Why do you think the movie was called Sexy Beast?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it sounds like something a Cockney would say, and the main character references a few times that, you know,
I guess
his looks and yeah.
But I feel like it kept people away from the movie, like Adam.
It
like
really, I feel like it did.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's going to be one of these movies where like sex is a big part of the movie, when in reality it was just like one flashback. They talked about a cocaine orgy that they didn't even show, and that's about it. Like, there wasn't really... The movie doesn't really have anything to do with sex, but it's a part of the title, and it's just... I don't know.
That's what I get thinking, too, because the elements of sex that are in there, like, I'd say the major one is the relationship between Ben Kingsley and... also Dee Dee Dove, I think her character was called. Yeah, that was the main element, and there's they never show it. It's all just communicated through dialogue. And I was thinking, I think it was at some point in a previous episode we mentioned like sex scenes, and I really liked the approach to the way they handled that kind of thing. Because even in that orgy scene, it's not even really particularly explicit. It all feels like, all of the filmmaking feels like it's in service of the story. Yeah. And for someone who comes from a kind of music video background, you could see where that could go wrong in theory. And there was only like 2 shots where I was like, yeah, you definitely come from like a music kind of background here with the way you're showing some of this. But for the most part, like, it's really impressive.
Yeah, like all the stuff with the dreams. So I felt that felt like music video.
And the little Donnie Darko guy.
Yeah, Donnie Darko.
Frank.
Yeah.
So, Ralph, are you familiar at all with any of the music videos he's directed?
No, I haven't seen his music videos.
I was on IMDb before I watched the movie, and it was pretty neat, just like looking through his filmography and just being like, oh, hey, fuck, I've seen that, and I really enjoyed it. You know, Massive Attack, Live With Me, that was a good music video. Like, that's one that really stuck out to me, and it's like, holy shit, same guy. What a great director, honestly.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Karma Police already.
Never let me
it's
down.
Crazy, yeah.
Not that many features. Only 3. So none of us have seen Birth then, or what?
I've seen Birth.
I think Ralph has.
Yeah, Birth is really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely
I like this better. I've only seen this recently, my first time. And then I saw it like the second time the weekend, like you recommended it, Alex. So it was perfect.
That is perfect, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's awesome.
I guess he's quite a sporadic filmmaker then. Because Sexy Beast, year 2000, Birth, 2004, and then nothing for nearly a decade until Under the Skin. And what's he doing next? Isn't it an A24 war movie or something like that?
Yeah.
No idea.
Something like that.
Which could be really interesting.
I think the Holocaust, I think it's a Holocaust film.
Yeah.
I think something about that.
And there was a short, The Fall.
Which was great.
I wanted to try and watch that, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so...
In America, I think it's easily available, but Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing. Like outside of America, you just can't find it.
I first saw it on the BBC. Like they had a player. I watched it on there because he's like a UK director. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it is on there.
I had to find it on there. Yeah. It might be different now. That was a year ago. Now I think A24 put it out on like their site for the US anyway. So if you're in the US, watch it. It's cool. It's not even that long. It's creepy.
Yeah, it's like 7 minutes long, isn't it? It's like only a real short.
Yeah.
It's good to see something lighter from him. Like this. Even Birth is like really depressing.
Yeah. I've read the plot synopsis of that. It seems it seems like it could be a depressing movie. Yeah. But yeah, I love that his movies are so different too. I mean, I haven't seen Birth, but I'm assuming that it's probably
Birth
not
is just
the
a
same.
drama. Like there's no action, there's no like sci-fi elements. It's just, people.
Yeah.
There's like an element of this movie. Oh yeah, there's a part where a guy gets shot. It's the other villain, played by the John Wick guy, and there's no blood on him at all, even though he shoots him like right in the head, right in front of him. Like no blood on him at all.
Yeah.
That took me out of the movie a little. Especially when there's like so much blood like on the wall and like on the cabinet that he shot him. Like, come on.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that.
Yeah.
Nothing really jumped out to me that pulled me out of the movie, honestly. I was really engaged with this one, especially with how kind of brief it is. I think it's the perfect length. It just sticks around an hour and a half. It's just the perfect length. Yeah, I couldn't ask for more from this kind of concept. Like, I really like this idea of taking a familiar genre and finding a space that is fresh and new, which is what he's done with both
in a really clever
Sexy
way.
Beast and Under the Skin. You know,
exactly.
It's both tropey kind of topics.
Taking that like one plot point and just making it the opposite, so he doesn't want to go.
Yeah,
like that changed the whole movie and made it so great. Yeah. Do we want to give ratings? Are we ready? Or do you have anything else to say?
I'll just say it when I give my rating. It's just a little fucking blurb. It's nothing.
Okay. Well, like, I think the movie, once Ben Kingsley's gone, is not as good. I still think it's really good, but I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. Like, if I had to give it a rating, just for that. Just, I think it's better when he's there than, like, the second half with the heist and everything.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm slightly lower just on my first watch with a 4-star, but it is, I absolutely adore movies like this. Just like character, it's all about dialogue. It's all about the kind of subtlety and the originality of the idea. I actually can't wait to show this to a bunch of people who I think will really enjoy it.
And I'm giving this one 8 out of 10. And I loved how the main character was beat red for the entire movie.
He apparently went to Spain 2 weeks before they started shooting, and all he did was just eat. And he said it was like the best preparation for a role he's ever had to do.
That sounds awesome. Can hang out in Spain and just eat and sunbathe. Holy shit! Yeah, but it's great. I mean, everyone has a suntan in the movie. It totally like adds authenticity to them. The setting is great too.
It is a really good set. I actually thought it might wind up being like a bottle movie, just completely set in that one location. But I'm glad it went the way it did.
Yeah, you're right. They shot a lot of the movie in that house, and it was always like visually interesting. And the world of it felt real. There was like the pool guy who would come in, like the kid they hired, and served a point in the plot. And they set up that gun with him. Like they went out like shooting, I don't know, rabbits or something.
Hunting, yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, I really liked it.
He was hunting rabbits, and then that Frank the Bunny showed up.
Yeah. The Donnie Darko. Well, yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. It was like a similar field, too. It was like a desert field.
Donnie Darko came out a year after this movie. Suspicious.
Really?
That's interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. And we all know Richard Kelly.
Not much time.
That's who directed it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We know he's a hack.
R. Kelly.
Yeah, like who makes better movies, him or Jonathan Glazer?
All right, question time.
Okay, let's answer some questions from the community. If you want to leave your own questions for us, head over to the Reddit where there's a suggestion thread. You can ask whatever you like. Let's start with this one from Butter467, who asks a relevant question. Can Considering what is going on in America with the protests and riots over the death of George Floyd, what are some movies you think showcase racism in a very accurate way?
You've talked about Spike Lee.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
He makes a lot of good films about that.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I'm going to recommend, so I won't say.
Okay. Okay.
But what else? He's made Malcolm X. Someone wrote that. They posted about that on the Reddit. Malcolm X is very good. Chirac. Yeah, he has a good library of films like that. There's also like films recently, like Fruitvale Station,
Blind Spotting.
like Blind Spotting. They specifically deal with kind of like police brutality in that way.
Yeah.
Blind Spotting a little bit, a little more so Fruitvale Station, but like both of those are great.
Yeah, Blind Spotting was really good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was kind of like felt a little underrated, or at least like it didn't make as much money as it probably should have.
Blind Spotting.
That one came out.
I really think it should have been, watched by more eyes.
Mm-hmm. And really funny too. Like that movie dealt with the themes, but it's just a really good movie. Like
it does that thing. It's like my favorite tone where you have like a kind of a comedic, carefree tone, but then at a certain point it suddenly gets real. I love that kind of thing in movies.
Yeah, Spike Lee's movies are like that too.
Yeah,
not Old Boy. The director of Old Boy.
Black Klansman, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I've got answers, but they're like pretty like extreme cases of like 12 Years a Slave or like American History X. Get Out is a good example because like I think
because it's like a contemporary setting, and it's applied to like a fantastical kind of theme, but still works well with what this question's asking.
It's like more underlying and not as overt, I guess.
Yeah, like 12 Years a Slave or something.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah,
but
of course,
it just seems like anybody's answer,
Yeah, well, people are making countless lists, and there are lots of good picks. Actually, there's a bunch of movies I've been meaning to get around to from this kind of topic.
Like what's one that you haven't gotten around to yet that you're looking forward to?
What's it called? I Am Not Your Negro.
Mm-hmm.
That's been on my watch list for a while.
Who made that?
Let me tell you, Raoul Peck. I might have said it wrong, but
is that the 2016?
2016.
Thing? Okay, yeah, that's on my watch list. I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a bunch on my watch list. I just never got around to.
Beale Street Talk. That's one. That's Barry Jenkins made that. That's good.
I like Barry.
Okay, we've got some pretty good answers there. The Corniest Lemur has one for us, specifically directed at Adam, but I think we can all probably answer it. Adam, you've gone on record as saying you think Rick and Morty is the best animated show on TV at the moment, but I don't think you've said anything about it after the first season. Are you still watching the show, and if so, what do you think of it now?
It hasn't like dropped off so dramatically in quality that I think it's bad, but it is kind of just pulling the same thing over and over and over again to the point where it's not new and surprising anymore, and it's just really repetitive, and I'm not as interested in it. So like, even though I really enjoyed season 3, I only watched the first 2 episodes of season 4, and I might watch them at some point, but I'm not like rushing to see them. There's like other things I could be watching, sort of thing. So yeah, the fan base had nothing to do with it. It was not like oh no, everybody else likes it, so now I can't, sort of thing. It was just like the show wound up getting a little too repetitive, and once you're familiar with the whole shtick of it, it's just like, oh, it's just more of this, and it's fine. It's just not.
Yeah, I'm in the same
crazy
boat.
I agree.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes of season 4. I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, I find it entertaining, but you're right.
Nobody really talks about it anymore.
Yeah, I just wish the show would decide if it wants to be like a kind of not creature of the week, but like a silly new thing each week with this with no link, because there's like a vague overarching kind of narrative they attempt in certain seasons, which is like okay to me, but it just doesn't seem like it's building or really going anywhere, and I just not sure what type of show it's trying to be at this point, because I feel like it had a really strong identity at the beginning. I really liked season 2, I think was where it peaked for me. But yeah, I feel like just any show going on for this long, you've really got to have something to, apart from like a gimmick, like the meta gimmick. Yeah, I'll get around to it at some point, but it's not like, I don't think it's like the best show on TV at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I said best animated.
You guys said.
When that was my Blu-ray collection 2014 or something. Or whatever that was.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten sick of it. I haven't seen any of season 4.
Yeah.
And unlike you, that fan base, it has annoyed me. The whole Szechuan sauce thing was fucking stupid. McDonald's, whatever the fuck that was so stupid. Such a waste. Guys getting up on like cashier's registers. Where's my Szechuan sauce?
I mean, he knew what he was doing.
It's like these guys are so obnoxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is something really fascinating about the way how quickly and how huge the fan base grew.
Yeah, they just latched onto this thing.
How that's affected overall appeal of it. That is really interesting.
The merchandising was crazy on it. Video games and everyone had shirts and hats and toys, whatever the fuck, Funko Pops of it.
I'm glad that Adult Swim has a hit, you know?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that is like maybe limited the show though, because maybe that's why it feels repetitive, like it's going through the motions. It's afraid to be something else. It just does more of the same because it knows that's what people like.
Yeah.
Like BoJack, I feel evolves and it becomes something else. Like as it goes
has a
along.
narrative though too, like an actual the progresses
like actual characters
over the show.
Too.
Yeah,
like I don't think I like Rick and Morty, but I don't like the rest of the characters. I don't think the rest of them are that interesting. Like the rest of the family.
I like the dad. I think he's really funny.
Oh yeah, okay, the dad. He's kind of absent. I guess that's what's funny about it. It's like he slowly distances himself from the family. Yeah, like the third season, he's in an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's okay.
So what would you guys say is your favorite current animated show right now?
Christ.
I don't watch
animated. The last one I probably watched was BoJack, which ended a few months ago.
Yeah.
There's
it's not on at the moment.
The Shivering Truth. There's new episodes coming out right now. It's from the creators of Xavier Renegade Angel. It's stop motion animated.
Oh yeah.
It's
was a funny show.
Much darker and much more disturbing, but still just like insane and fun. So yeah, Shivering Truth. Check it out for sure. Really great.
I don't watch any
too.
Animated shows now because I'm not a kid.
Hey,
I liked Xavier Renegade Angel. I'm watching The Wire now.
The Shivering Truth is not for children. Let me just throw that right out there. The Shivering Truth.
When I was a teenager, I loved Adult
children.
Swim. I loved watching all that shit.
Animated? Come on.
I'm kidding. Of course, animated stuff is great. Of course, animated stuff's great.
Yeah. Don't be one of those.
I don't watch any of that now. I liked Last Airbender. I watched that again recently.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't watch anything new.
I don't like things.
13 Reasons Why came out, so I ain't got no time for animated.
Oh fuck! I hear it's great.
That shit. I saw one clip from the Reddit. It made me laugh really hard.
Have you started watching it, Alex? I haven't yet.
I'm using it as my reward for once I finish some work I got to do.
Okay.
I'll finish my work and then I'm going to reward myself with a nice marathon of 13 Reasons Why.
What a good reward.
Okay. I can't wait.
I'll be doing some commentaries on them. We're going to space them out a bit. It's like you can't do them all in one sitting for commentary. I'll watch one episode this week.
Although it is a shorter season, it's only 10 episodes.
What? Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's hilarious to me. 13 Reasons Why is a 10 episode season. It's just
for the first time in history. I'm hyped. That actually makes me a bit more optimistic about it, because one of the biggest issues I had with season 3 was it just so stretched out. Like,
dude,
like why does this need to be 13 episodes?
I felt that way since season 2, episode 1, to be honest.
Yeah, what a funny show. I'm a little hyped for it. It seems like some funny things happen this season. Yeah, Shivering Truth. Check it out. Anybody listening, it's awesome. Check out anything that PFFR has made. Wonder Chosen, Xavier Renegade Angel, The Heart She Holler, and The Shivering Truth. Those are their 4. Some more accessible than others. Some might not connect with you as much as others, but I think every single one of them are hilarious and bizarre and unique in their own way, and I love them so much. I'll watch anything they make.
Okay, let's do this one then from, oh god, Matt R1X168, who says, "Hello, Ralphie the Pizza Maker, Alex the Lion, and Fairy Boy. What are some of your favorite lines from cinema? Give cool examples. Also, why in his childhood trauma video did Ralph have a Dark Knight Rises poster, huh? What do you all have to say about that?"
I have an Assassin's Creed Unity poster, too.
Oh, I forgot about the Unity poster.
Those are my brothers. Those weren't mine.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, what are some of your favorite lines? I've got one that can start us off if you want. So it's from a movie I already mentioned earlier, Big Lebowski, of course. But the line is that Walter says it. He says about nihilists. I mean, say what you like about the tenets of National Socialism, dude. At least it's an ethos. Where he's basically saying, at least the Nazis cared about something when he's like mocking nihilists. I think that's just such a funny line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a shit ton of things I could pluck out of some of my favorite movies. I guess The Holy Mountain, one off the top of my head, would just be, there's so many of these, but like one off the top of my head would be people do not wish to be loved for who they are, but who they appear to be. Things. I like movies that have more, I guess, general commentary over humans and society, and the way that people think and act, and things that are like kind of timeless and ring true. Just like a criticism of society as a whole. Those things connect with me.
Mine are like stupid funny quotes that I like, usually from gangster movies because they're Italian. Like Joe Pesci, like a lot of his lines in Goodfellas, like the clown. What am I, a clown? The Sopranos, I quote a lot. Paulie has a line about life. He says, "The Framus intersects with the Ramistan approximately at the Pata Nostra." That's my favorite line.
What the?
But there's thanks to The Sopranos, actually, that quote from Godfather 3 is in my head quite a lot. Yeah. Just when I thought I got out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's funny how they act it out. Yeah, they're always quoting Godfather.
There's like, I don't know. There's some really quotable comedy movies like Kung Pao and Black Dynamite. Up there, like, haha, I threw that shit before I walked in the room. It's like so many good lines from all those.
Yeah, it might be like an obvious answer, but the Tears and Rain from Blade Runner, I have a soft spot for.
Yeah,
like an improvised line.
Somewhat memeable.
Everything's memeable if you try hard enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in Social Network that I remember in lines. Not now, but
that's the thing. Whenever you put it on the spot, it's like, oh, I know there's this really good bit in this movie, but I'm gonna have to Google it.
It's just him like telling off people, like really long paragraphs of like dialogue. I don't want to say them all. Yeah,
like full rants.
Pain turns to fear. Fear turns to anger.
Star Wars has
anger.
Well,
that's your choice.
To suffering. I don't even know if I said the right line, but.
That sounded
Those
pretty
are from the
accurate
prequels.
Yeah, the best movies.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do like The Dark Knight Rises, and I think Bane's lines are pretty quotable.
Oh, yeah.
They're
really adopted
quotable.
The dark, I was born in it. Yeah. Close.
That's true, actually.
Everyone does his voice.
You're a big guy. I'll never get over how, like, test audiences made his voice sound worse. Like, fuck.
Yeah, man, I was shocked the last time I saw it. But...
Test audiences are the worst.
There is something, like, really, I guess, memeable about it. You're right.
I mean,
it stays in your head. That God, when that
memorable.
film came out, that fucking voice was everywhere.
Yeah.
I always liked it.
But that whole trilogy was kind of like that. They're all quite quotable, like the Joker from the Dark Knight.
The Joker baby.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I would have to think harder about other quotable lines, but I think I gave some good ones.
Yeah. How about this one then from Key Bubs, who says, "Is there a music album you guys think would make for a good The Wall/Yellow Submarine type of movie?"
Black Parade, My Chemical Romance. It kind of tells a story, I think. Yeah, you could probably make something out of that. It's kind of rock opera-y too, you know.
My pick would be Demon Days by Gorillaz.
Oh yeah,
I think that would make a sick movie. I think originally there was going to be some kind of Gorillaz movie or something like that. The visual element of that band, I feel like would work quite well, or could work quite well in a framework like that.
Yeah, Gorillaz is a good one. LCD Sound System, they make good music.
Oh yeah,
American Dream.
Didn't they do a score for something? I feel for a movie.
Greenberg?
Yeah, okay. It was Greenberg. I don't know why that fact was in my head, but it was for some reason.
Yeah, that's interesting though.
Yeah.
If you like LCD Sound System, you should watch that movie Simon Killer. There's a scene where they use a song from them.
Oh yeah?
Oh really? Which one?
I think it's like a 12-minute long song. I think it's called Dance Songs. That's what I'm just looking at right now.
Oh, the dance one?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like LCD.
Yeah, me too. All right,
okay, let's do this one. Why Finn FFFFFFF says there is usually at least one subplot which revolves around a romantic relationship or the potential of one in a lot of TV shows and movies where their primary genre is not necessarily romance, like superhero movies, for example, but in a lot of cases, the romantic subplots in these stories feel very forced and distracting and therefore are claimed to be one of the weakest aspects. Mm-hmm. Name one example of a romantic subplot from a movie or a TV show that you felt was necessary to the overall story and enjoyed watching. I have a good answer.
Okay.
And it's only because I finished it recently, and that's Better Call Saul. I was really thinking about it. I was like, I really like the portrayal of the main relationship in that show. I think it's really elegantly done.
Kim and
I think it's
Jim.
key to what makes it's the hook of the show at this point for me. It's like, how's that gonna go down? What's gonna happen there? I think that's what has a lot of people interested.
Yeah, she's not in the rest of it. She's not like Breaking Bad.
Exactly, yeah. But they also have like a really genuine connection and chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I don't think and I think that's all without a single sex scene. I don't think they ever show anything like that. They just kind of sleep in the same bed. They don't show anything like that.
See, my issue with this question is I can think of romance portrayed well in movies, but then at what point does it stop becoming a subplot, and at what point is it about the actual plot, right? So like The Lobster, that's not really a subplot anymore after a certain point. Really, because that's like about the main plot, I guess, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of a difficult question.
Yeah, it is a movie that's not a romance movie.
Yeah,
or it's not like a romantic comedy.
You could say like Blade Runner 2049, I guess.
Yeah,
because that's not really that is a subplot.
Yeah.
They're asking about like shoved in ones like the Thor and like Natalie Portman in Thor or something.
Or like in the Hobbit movies with the lost woman who was just shoved in.
Good movies, it just feels so organic to the story that it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
It's just part of the story. It doesn't feel like a shoehorned in subplot. It's usually just part of the genre where it feels organic.
It's never fun when you can tell it was just on the checklist. And it's like, well, if you want to make a movie, you gotta have a love interest. Otherwise, people won't be able to jerk off in the theater.
Or sometimes they just need to pad out time. They don't need, like, what the fuck is this character going to do? Okay, give him a girlfriend or a love interest. You know,
that's why it seems so forced.
It's like it's like one of the easiest things you can write. Yeah, it's always
especially
the same.
When it's like main character and then love interest that serves no other purpose other than to be love interest on the checklist. You know, like they have no character. They might not even have chemistry. Sort of thing.
Then they get killed or something. They're there for that purpose. It's dumb. Yeah.
There's a bunch of those. I would consider that to be like a pretty big problem in movies. It's just checklist romance bullshit.
Yeah, when something's that noticeable and that recognizable, it usually is a sign that it's just too prevalent.
Especially in action films, because it's like they're not focused on characters at all. And so the women are usually like, they either kick ass or they're like the love interest, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like there's no dimension to them at all.
Now they're in danger.
Yeah, now
gotta save him. He cares about
not that those characters
character.
are bad. I've liked some of them. You have to do something interesting with it, like John McClane and like Die Hard. They're like divorced or something. He has to win her heart
dynamic.
back.
Yeah,
it's a little more interesting.
Yeah, like Lady in the Water.
That's a great one.
Fuck the fish girl, maybe. I don't know. I'm just scanning my Blu-ray shelf.
Katara and Aang in the Last Airbender movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Sam and Frodo.
Yeah. No, that's a solid one actually.
Yeah. Hey, gay relationship counts.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Fangor asks this. Is there a movie you guys have discussed that you would consider reopening for discussion because you think there's a lot more that could be said about it now that you've given it more time to think about it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Also with different guests. I think we could have different guests on. Like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. I think we could discuss that whole trilogy.
Are they asking about ones that we had for like the movie recommendation though, or discussed before in any
movie you guys have discussed
channels?
Just like, say discussed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, like I talked about The Dark Knight when I saw it in theaters, and I made a quickie right after in like 2012 or whenever that was, and it's gone down in my rating since then for sure. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't know if there's anything we've really discussed on the podcast that I would feel differently about, though.
I think these things change like slightly over time.
Yeah.
Opinions. And people like to keep up to date on it, so I'm not opposed to it at all.
Yeah, for me, I'd quite like to revisit Antichrist.
Oh yeah,
or
really,
maybe even The House That Jack Built, just to see what I think about it now. Because I don't know, I feel like when something's fairly polarizing to you, it can be a good experience to go back and watch it with a different frame of mind once you kind of know what you're going into. Yeah,
I will be watching The House That Jack Built again, even though I had the most negative perspective out of everybody on the podcast. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with Lars anyway. I'd be willing to watch it again for sure. We'll see.
Yeah, and I don't know if it necessarily needs more discussion, but a film I keep thinking about is Fantastic Planet. I underrated it when I first talked about that, because I don't know what it is about that movie. The imagery is just seared into my brain now, and I just constantly am thinking about it. So
that's cool.
There is something special about Fantastic
Planet.
I love that film. That's one of the best films I think we talked about.
Yeah, there is something really special about that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I don't really have anything.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, you want to do one more?
Yeah, let's end on this one then. From a DCX64, who says, as of right now, what have been your favourite and least favourite Sardonicast episodes? Favourite moments count too.
I don't know.
Ben and Arthur for me. I love that.
Yeah.
Like the movie experience? Like how...
Yeah, Ben and Arthur.
The conversation, I think, is so funny.
Yeah, it's good to have some meme movies in there. Ben and Arthur,
you don't
Madagascar.
Want it to be everyone, but...
The best ones, yeah. I really like the Lord of the Rings one. I like the ones we do on trilogies.
I was really happy with the Lord of the Rings one. And the Godfather one, actually.
Yeah, the Godfather one, too.
Least favorite?
No, I don't have any least favorite. I think they're all great.
Yeah, they're all incredible. Well, it's probably... From my perspective, anyway, it's probably like the earlier episodes where just getting used to the format of recording these over Discord, you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
It is such a different experience. I don't know how you guys found it to get used to.
Yeah, getting used to that. My audio issues, having to dub over my audio at one point.
Oh, that's a good moment.
Like, those were like my least favorite parts.
Oh, shit, yeah.
That's just because I was getting used to it, and because, you know, I was doing college and work, and like, that was not a priority on my list. I was like recording on my laptop, like in a library. So.
Yeah, just, I don't know. I like the, I like our cultural differences discussions. I like when we kind of argue with each other, you know.
Yeah, it's funny.
Have some drama. I like when we're like defending things that, you know, we have different perspectives.
But it's not like real drama.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like jokingly making fun of culture. Yeah.
Yeah, or like, you know, differences on films too. I like when we can have like a good argument about something. I enjoy that. Always looking for conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's my answer.
What would be the episode you would recommend to someone as like a first episode then? If you know, excluding the obvious of starting with the first.
I always say like the most recent one.
Depends who I'm recommending it to.
I suppose.
Because there's such a wide variety of different types of movies, so it would probably be catered towards the types of movies that I would expect someone would want to hear a discussion on.
Yeah.
You know, wide variety of guests too.
I'd say if you're like familiar with the style of content, I think it would be good to start with one of the kind of funnier episodes with a kind of silly movie. It's always
Space
a good place to
Jam.
begin. Well, that's what I like about the Godfather one, is that it's two incredible movies and then one horribly flawed one. So there's a nice contrast in conversation.
Yeah, it just turns into a joke.
The Matrix, the same thing. Like, it starts out good, it gets worse.
Yeah, it's a good one, yeah.
Spider-Man.
That was the same thing. The third one sucks. I like the third one, actually, but...
Okay, yeah, that's about it.
We
All
did
right,
it.
so we have a movie recommendation, and I guess I should have discussed this before the podcast.
Yeah, whose turn
but
is
I
it?
forgot. Well, so if we never really
who's it normally?
We never really confirmed whether or not Matt's recommendation would have been counted as mine. So I'll leave this up to you, Ralph. So it's either going to be your turn or my turn, dependent on whether or not Matt's recommendation counted as mine. So your call.
Okay. If you want to recommend, go ahead. I'll recommend mine next time.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So my recommendation is a double feature. And I guess I won't bother explaining too much why they're double features. If you've seen them, which I'm assuming you both have already, then you'll already know why. It is Being John Malkovich and Adaptation. Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman duo joints. And they are connected in ways, but I've wanted to revisit both of them for quite a long time, especially Adaptation. That one would probably be the one I've seen the least out of like all of the Charlie Kaufman movies I love. And I know that watching that more recently, I'll have a very different experience than the last time. I haven't seen it in forever. But I'm assuming both of you have seen both of these movies anyway, right?
Yeah.
How long ago, you think?
Couple of
so
years.
long. I can't really remember much at this point, so I'm actually really excited about this.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm hyped to talk about them. All right, so if you don't want to be spoiled for Being John Malkovich and Adaptation, both directed by Spike Jonze and written by Charlie Kaufman, watch them before the next episode. These episodes come out every 2 weeks. If you want to support the show, $2 a month, Sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium. You'll get these episodes early. Also, patreon.com/Sardonicast. You'll get these episodes as they're edited before they are public. Also, we got merch. Link in the description. All right. And if you want to help me out with the episode intros, if you got any ideas,
I'll start writing.
I'll take them.
Start racking my brain.
Let me go writer's room.
I still got a couple left. I haven't run out yet.
Okay.
Do we have to tell you what they are? Do we have to keep it a surprise and just tell you we have one and then just spring it
I
on
mean,
you
if
so
you
we
wanted
can-
to like steal the intro and surprise me with an intro, I wouldn't object. Your call.
Okay, I'll keep that in the back of my mind.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks everybody for listening. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care.